Right now, literally while you're listening to this, your brain is quietly erasing a memory you actually wanted to keep.
Seriously, think about it. You probably learned something super important today, right? Well, by tomorrow morning, a massive chunk of it is just gonna be gone. Think back to a meeting you had, say, 8 hours ago. You probably remember what, maybe 12% of what was said. And the worst part is, you don't even get to pick which 12% your brain decides to hold on to. So, in this explainer, we're diving into a fascinating biological reality happening inside your head tonight. And more importantly, we'll look at a highly specific protocol to help you take control of it. Let's get into it.
Act 1. The problem.
Okay, so to stop memory decay, we really have to confront how our memory functions by default. And honestly, the sheer scale of the data loss is kind of staggering. Without stepping in and doing something about it, 70% of new information is wiped out within 24 hours. 70%! Now, don't panic. This isn't a sign of cognitive decline or anything. This is just the standard human forgetting curve. Your brain is basically a highly efficient deletion machine, and it's constantly shedding data just to save energy. And, this is exactly why our usual attempts to fight this deletion totally fail. Most of us, we try to remember things by just passively rereading them over and over. But there's this thing called the testing effect. It turns out the act of actively retrieving a memory from your brain, pulling it out instead of just looking at it again, strengthens that memory by 50% over the baseline of passive reading. 50%. We're literally just using the wrong tools to force our brains to remember stuff. Plus, the problem is intensely physical. Throughout your day, a chemical called adenosine is building up in your brain. And this buildup physically impairs memory encoding. It actually makes it harder and harder to write new information as the day drags on. And hey, if you think staying up late to study your cram is the workaround, yeah, think again. Just one single night of poor sleep slashes your brain's ability to consolidate memories by up to 30%. You absolutely need sleep to clear out that adenosine. But as we're about to see, sleep is kind of a double-edged sword.
Which brings us to Act 2, the revelation.
For years, you've probably felt that deep, sinking frustration of forgetting something vital. And you've probably blamed yourself, right? Blamed your intelligence, your focus, your discipline. But listen to me, it was never your fault. It is completely biological. Get this, way back in 1885, a guy named Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered this exact forgetting curve. 1885? Yet well over a century later, our schools and institutions still largely ignore this biological reality. They're still acting like it's 1884, forcing us into systems that actively fight against how our brains actually process information. We've known about this massive systemic flaw for forever.
So right about now, you might be hitting a bit of a paradox. You're probably thinking, wait a second, are you telling me that the harder I study before bed without a strategy, the more I might lose overnight? That the sleep that's supposed to help me is actually deleting the info I want? I know, it sounds totally contradictory. But here is the wild, counterintuitive truth. It's not removing information, it's prioritizing it. While you're asleep, your brain is replaying the day's memories, but it's only keeping what it deems important. The catch? By default, your brain has absolutely no idea what matters to you. To your brain, a life-changing piece of advice and what you had for a snack at 2 p.m. look exactly the same, unless you give it a clear signal. Act 3, the mechanism. To really grasp how this prioritization happens structurally inside your head while you're completely unconscious, we have to talk about the hippocampus. I want you to picture the hippocampus as a super strict hotel manager working the night shift. Before this manager locks up, they literally walk through every single room, with each room representing a memory from your day, and they decide which guests get to stay permanently and which ones get quietly kicked out before sunrise. Imagine looking at the manager's ledger. On one side, you have the important memories. These are the VIPs, they have a reservation, they're safe. But on the other side, you've got the untagged memories. And without a specific intervention from you, your most crucial insights from the day end up on this untagged side. They don't have a reservation, so they're just quietly evicted to make room for tomorrow's data. The key here is understanding exactly when this hotel manager does their best work. First off, the brain's default mode network, or DMN, fires up during rest, meaning literally doing nothing is highly productive for your brain. Crazy, right? Then, as you drift off, these specific brain waves called sleep spindles kick in during stage 2 sleep. Think of these spindles as transport vehicles. They physically move memories from fragile short-term holding into permanent long-term storage. And finally, this massive consolidation process absolutely peaks between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. during deep, slow-wave sleep. If you miss that window, or if the manager doesn't know what to keep, the data is just gone.
Act 4, the application.
All right, so now that we know how the mechanism works, we can actually manipulate it. We can stop leaving our memory up to chance and start handing that hotel manager a VIP guest list. In fact, elite military units use a highly specific post-event protocol that boosts their memory retention by an astounding 40%. 40%! They aren't studying harder, they're studying smarter. They're speaking the exact biological language the hippocampus understands right before they go to sleep.
And here is that exact 4-minute fix. You can literally use this tonight, right before bed. Step 1 is the brain dump. Take 2 minutes and jot down 3 things you want to remember tomorrow. Do not write full sentences, just raw words. Okay, step 2, tag it. Take 1 minute and next to each item, write exactly why it matters to you emotionally. The hippocampus ruthlessly prioritizes emotional relevance, so you have to give that data an emotional anchor. And finally, step 3, visualize. Spend your last minute with your eyes closed, replaying the memory like a short film. Add some sensory detail. What did the room look like? How did you feel? This quick 4-minute protocol sends a glaring neon signal to your sleeping brain that says, hey, these memories are worth keeping.
So remember this, forgetting was never a failure of your intelligence. It's just a biological system doing its job. But now you hold the reservation book. Tonight, before your head hits the pillow, take those 4 minutes. Take control of the system. The only question left is, what will you choose to remember tomorrow?